So we're going to start off with the Baltimore Ravens. So Baltimore Ravens, key losses. Moses was one, the tackle. Okay, that was huge. They also lost
The linebacker.
Patrick Queen.
McQueen.
I think it's just Queen.
Right. Oh, Patrick
Queen. Yeah, Patrick Queen. I got him right here. Don't worry. I got you. I got you. Kevin Zeitler is also another guy that left them. Yeah, so a few linemen. The big ones, yeah. The big ones were the linemen, starting tackle, a starting guard, and I'm trying to, Jadeveon Clowney, and then Queen. So if you're looking at the four primary, right, they lost two starting offensive linemen, they lost a starting edge rusher, and they lost a starting inside linebacker. They gained Derrick Henry.
Yep.
So obviously that was a nice pickup for them. Definitely makes their offense a little bit more potent. Where do you see the Ravens kind of going, or where do they kind of need to go to get over the hump maybe next year, beat the Chiefs?
Listen, I think they're going to take a step back, unfortunately, right? They
lost a lot of coaches, too.
There you go.
Yeah, they did lose a lot of coaches.
Right? Their defensive coordinator is now in Seattle. Their defensive backs coach is in Tennessee as the defensive coordinator.
Okay.
And the reason why I bring him up, he was on the Eagles staff when they went to the Super Bowl, and everyone thought, the players thought he should have gotten that defensive coordinator job, didn't, went to Baltimore. Baltimore had that tremendous secondary, and now he is the defensive coordinator in Tennessee. So that team is completely depleted. Now, granted, they still have Harbaugh, right? And they still have Monken as their offensive coordinator. But ultimately, I think
Odell either. Not that it's a huge loss.
Yeah,
but
Odell, right? To lost some veteran experience there. And so it's just interesting. They're going to be dangerous. They're going to be up there. But the reason why I think they're going to take a step back is that because, remember, the Cleveland Browns had the best defense in that division, and Deshaun
Watson will be back.
Is coming back.
Yes.
Right? Then Joe Burrow is coming back.
Yep.
Right?
Bengals
and the
should be
Steelers
healthy.
have gotten better. Right? So all of a sudden, the Steelers got better. The Bengals will have Joe Burrow coming back. They're automatically better. I think it's just going to be extremely more competitive. And then also remember this, right? When you make a deep playoff run, that's more extra games played.
Sure.
Right? So that means they're going to go into the season a little bit more beat up than everyone else versus the Steelers made the playoffs, but they lost in the first round. The Bengals didn't make the playoffs. They had all offseason to rest up, get healthy, and come back fresh. Right. And so now, granted, I have some concerns with the Bengals. T. Higgins is franchise tag. What's going to happen there? There might be some dissension. But I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden the Cleveland Browns continued what they were doing, right, with that defense and better quarterback play. So I think ultimately the Ravens step back because of continuity in the coaching staff that they've lost, right, as well as you lost Odell, right, veteran, experienced Super Bowl champion, and then you lost Jadeveon Clowney, right? You lost him, right, which he accounted for 10, 12 sacks that helped them be one of the best defenses in the league and led the league in total sacks. And so I start to look at some of these things and say, you know what? They're going to take a step back.
Interesting. So I like that you brought up the Clowney loss because, again, a team that did, lead the league in sacks last year, and I think he was actually their leading sack guy last year. So that's something that obviously they're going to go and look to replace. Now the question is, do they try and make a trade maybe before the draft to try and go and get, a premier type of pass rusher, or are they kind of looking that way during the draft itself? I liked all the points you said to break it down because I also believe football is a big regression to the mean sport. Sometimes when you're so good the year before and then when you have some of these major losses that they've had, you can't help but kind of just drop at least someone in your schedule. I still think the Ravens will be solid. If there's two teams that I think embody next man up philosophies, it's the Baltimore Ravens and it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's like no matter what they lose from the previous year, somehow you don't know how, but they're still going to be like competitive. They're not going to be as bad maybe as you think they are despite like a bunch of losses. Now, I will say the Ravens have had a lot of losses. The Derrick Henry move is really interesting to me. If they can fortify this offensive line, now they got to go replace at least two starters, I believe, in a guard and a tackle. So that's not
a lot.
That's not nothing. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's not nothing. You also have to go and replace a pass rusher. I would say the offensive line is probably more important, just in considering you just sunk a bunch of money into Lamar Jackson. You just got a running back. You want to make the offense work. And the Ravens, I think if I were the Ravens right now, I'd be looking to see, is there any deal that I could make for a pass rusher right now, like possibly an older vet type guy that I could bring in to this system that could produce similar to what Clowney did last year. So it's not like a huge drop off, and then focus on my offensive line in the draft.
Now, remember this. They got 10, 12, 15 touchdowns from Gus Edwards, right?
Yeah, they
so I
lost
see
him too.
Derrick Henry doing something like that on the Ravens,
agree.
but they already had that, right? So what have they added? Look, Zay Flowers will take a step up. He'll be better.
Sure.
But they have too much to replace. They're going to play a first
Tight end will be
placing
back this year
schedule.
too, and healthy Andrews.
Exactly. So let's see what happens. I think Lamar Jackson is going to have to run more to carry the team. But there's going to be some challenges there.
No, for sure.